In this next exchange, the focus shifts from the timeline controversy to something even more revealing: how the political killings task team was supposed to be dismantled. The issue is no longer whether the unit was disbanded. That was accepted. The real conflict is how it was done. Immediate shutdown versus gradual transition. Dockets reassigned before planning. Instructions that contradicted the National Commissioner's strategy. And as the questioning intensifies, the debate moves into whether this was simply an error of judgment or whether different strategies were being implemented at the same time. Let's listen carefully to how this was defended.
Long explanation. Do you accept that the proper thing to do is to first plan for what's going to happen with the dockets, and then you remove and reallocate dockets? Because you cannot reallocate them to non-existent detectives. When you reallocate them, you must know that there are detectives there who are qualified, who will take over the investigations. Do you accept that the planning must happen before the removal of the dockets? Simple.
This question goes to the core of administrative procedure. The issue isn't whether the task team should be disbanded. That decision had already been made. The issue is sequencing. When investigations are active, you cannot simply remove and reallocate dockets without first confirming that qualified detectives are in place to receive them. Planning must precede transfer. Otherwise, cases risk disruption, duplication, or delay. What the Commissioner is pressing here is simple but significant. Was there a structured transition plan in place before the instruction to immediately reassign the dockets, or did the reallocation happen first, with the logistics to follow later? That difference may seem technical, but in complex criminal investigations, procedural order can directly affect case continuity.
But General, the big difference between what was presented and what you did was how you're going to go about it. Your document is immediate disbandment. As we discussed it, you immediately said things now fall under General Sintumule, and you gave all of those instructions of things that should happen, and you continued to do that in your subsequent correspondence, when in fact the National Commissioner's position was we're going to do this gradually. So you're right to say there was no, in Parliament, there was no disagreement with the disbandment, at least what was presented in Parliament. It was about how it is done. And we're having this big debate with you, and suggestions have been made about your motives, why you approached it in a certain way. It's this big difference that you were going for immediate disbandment when the National Commissioner wanted a gradual winding up. And so you were implementing, the two of you were implementing different strategies.
This is where the disagreement becomes clearer. There was no dispute about whether the political killings task team would be disbanded. The disagreement was about how it would happen. One approach called for immediate disbandment, dockets transferred, structures dissolved, responsibilities reassigned at once. The other approach proposed a gradual winding down, preserving continuity while transitioning investigators in active cases and stages. That difference isn't minor. Immediate restructuring can create operational shock. A gradual approach prioritizes continuity and case stability. What the Commission is probing here is whether two different implementation strategies were being executed at the same time, and whether that divergence contributed to confusion inside the system.
Issued a letter in April that contradicted something that was in that plan, and that's something about it where the plan was the court-going dockets should remain, should not be part of what is handed over. They should remain with whoever the investigators, I think it is. And you offered, you gave a contrary instruction in April. So there was, you did fundamentally differ with what was done or what was preferred by General Masimula.
This moment is critical. Even after the parliamentary briefing clarified that the disbandment would happen gradually, a subsequent letter issued in April appears to contradict that agreed approach. The issue here isn't simply timing, it's consistency. If the National Commissioner and the Minister had settled on a gradual transition strategy, then issuing instructions that reintroduce immediate transfers creates a governance inconsistency. In structured institutions, once a transition framework is approved, alignment is expected across correspondence and implementation. When a later instruction diverges from that framework, the Commission naturally asks, was this an oversight or a deliberate difference in execution philosophy?
Maybe I must accept that for me then to have said also, let them also, the members reporting back to their respective environment, maybe I must accept there that it could have been an error of judgment there, and I'm taking that part responsibility.
But that's not the only difference. It's not about when the dockets had now arrived. We went through your different letters.
This is the first moment where responsibility is partially acknowledged. By describing the decision as an error of judgment, the focus shifts away from intention and toward execution. It suggests that, while the objective may have been operational efficiency, the sequencing or method may not have aligned with the agreed transition plan. But here's the key question. If the approach was inconsistent with the approved strategy, can it simply be classified as an error in judgment? Or does it reflect a deeper disagreement about how the disbandment should have been implemented? The Commission appears less concerned with motive and more focused on alignment in structured leadership environments. Deviation from an agreed framework isn't just a technical issue. It's a governance issue.
Yes, there is a vast difference. There is a difference between auditing and inspecting.
What's the difference?
The difference when you inspect a docket is when you inspect a docket, but when you audit...
No, you can't define a term by using the same term, General. You can't say when you inspect a docket, you inspect a docket.
When you inspect a docket, the chair is when you take a docket and then you look into compliance, you look into, you have many, because there's in terms of the national instructions, inspection, the management of case docket, and how you manage a docket, and then so when you inspect a docket, you check that this docket is being run or managed in terms of the national instructions. In other words, when the docket is opened, was it put forward for 24-hour inspection? In other words, when a docket gets opened today, the very next morning it must be before the commander, who must read it and then give instructions and give a brought forward date and say, bring this docket again on this date, I want to see it. And then you keep on giving instructions and directions as well. So this is now a docket inspection. Now when you do auditing, it's when you look at the number of dockets that are there, that you have, the number of dockets that have been closed, the number of dockets that are in court, the number of dockets that have been closed as undetected. It's a whole lot of them that you can say, this is docket. You audit now the numbers and a lot of things. It may include compliance according to the standard of maybe the Auditor General, how they also choose to audit in terms of their work.
This clarification is more significant than it may sound. An inspection focuses on compliance. Whether a docket is being managed according to internal procedure, whether instructions are followed, whether entries are updated within required time. An audit, on the other hand, examines numerical patterns. How many dockets are active? How many are closed? How many are enrolled in court? And overall performance trends. The Commission is pressing this distinction because the earlier claim that certain dockets had been gathering dust depends heavily on which process was actually conducted. If it was an inspection, the findings relate to procedural management. If it was an audit, the findings relate to broader performance metrics. The credibility of the criticism depends on that difference.